Welcome to the Legacy Through Land podcast, where we're dedicated to empowering you on your journey to land ownership and management. I'm Tyler Markham, your host, and each week we'll dive deep into the world of land investing, management strategies, and the transformative experiences tied to owning your very own piece of dream dirt. With our expert guests, inspiring stories, and actionable advice, we're committed to helping you become a better land manager, hone your investing skills, and start building your family's legacy through land. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. We hope you'll enjoy. Welcome to episode 26 of the Legacy Through Land podcast. I cannot even believe that, man. That is just, I feel like we're just literally getting started. And I really appreciate you that have been listening to the podcast. It really means a lot to me. The people that take time to reach out to me and connect with me in whatever way you do, I do appreciate it. It's really, really good to just at least hear any feedback and know, hey, are we doing this thing well or not? So I appreciate you guys that reach out. And if you're just a listener, I appreciate you as well. So episode 26 comes basically, this is going to drop a week after, if I have my timelines right, it's going to drop a week after no, it's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to drop 2 weeks after what has happened with Mr. Charlie Kirk. And it hasn't, it just hasn't left me. So anyways, this is my intro. I get to do what I want since it's my podcast. And I first owe my guest a sincere thank you because today's guest, Mr. Ed McMinn, was very patient with me, and I had a last minute change up in when he and I were going to record. And the reason I had a last minute change up, and this is the reason you guys should jump over to YouTube and check the video portion of this out. I will put it up to the camera. It's because I was getting my Charlie Kirk half sleeve tattoo with a dove at the top and Isaiah 6:8 soon to be on it. I was getting that done. And I wanted that as a really good conversation starter for the rest of my life of who I believe was the modern day martyr for our faith. So if you don't believe that, that's probably going to lead to you not being interested in my podcast in the future. And I get that, but that's okay. Don't listen to my podcast anymore. But I will never, ever, ever forget what Charlie Kirk did. And I don't think he'd take it back. I think the ripple effect that we're going to see from this is literally just getting started. And I am here for it because it has completely changed how I view my faith completely and how passive I've been. And I'm just embarrassed at myself. But I have promised and committed that I'm going to do better. And I've been having more conversations about our Lord and Savior in the last 2 weeks than I ever have. And I'm just here for it. And I'm just here for it. So love to unpack that longer form someday. If you find me in whatever form you do, social media, DMs, wherever, let's chat. Let's chat it up. Instagram, I am at Tales from Tyler, Tales from Tyler, as in stories. And of course, you can find me on Facebook under Tyler Markham. But let's jump right into Mr. Ed McMinn. Ed is a friend of mine from West Virginia that I think a lot of. Ed happens to be the president, now two-time president of the West Virginia Bowhunters Association. He's just a generally good dude. He's a person of faith, and he is somebody that I think is one of the best advocates I know for the outdoor space, and specifically bow hunting, my biggest passion here in the outdoors. So you're going to learn a lot from this. You're going to learn how the West Virginia Bowhunters Association, I think, does a really, really good job and has one of the best associations that I've seen in the outdoor world. And we're also going to get to learn a little bit about a really cool story that Ed has of a place that has defined legacy through land for him. So I will shut up. Let's jump into episode 26. Love you guys. Let's go. All right. Welcome back to the Legacy Through Land podcast. If you've been sticking with me, and man, I was doing good at this. I think this is episode 25. You guys don't sue me if it's not. It just tells you I really, really do the business, and I don't know what episode it is, but it's definitely an episode. We'll say it that way. For sure, it's an episode. Ed, I appreciate you being willing to be on here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Ed is my dude from across the river, so we're going to unpack some stuff together, but thank you for taking time to be on here.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Pleasure is mine. So you guys always know when we talk to somebody that I think you guys could stand to know and could stand to hear from, and we could start talking about hunterisms and dirtisms, I want to start from the beginning of Ed. You're an outdoorsman through and through. I don't even know you in, I'll jokingly say, I don't even know you in the professional sector. You and I only know each other in the killing stuff sector, in the woods, and being men of the woods and men of faith. And so I guess I want to kind of learn along with our listeners, who's Ed and how did Ed get to where he's at today? What shaped you?
All right. Well, I started, I didn't really grow up hunting very much. My dad always, took me and my brother fishing, things like that. But hunting was nothing that he really did. He did a little bit of gun hunting, but he was never really serious about it. And I did get to tag along on one of his hunts one time. And I'm guessing I was probably about 11 or 12, but that's really, I really got interested. But because, he wasn't real big into it, there weren't that many opportunities to go out.
Yeah.
But I had a neighbor friend, and this is when we were boys, his dad shot recurve and he was shooting a recurve, and they would let me come over and we'd shoot in the yard. We'd shoot apples on haystacks and, just having fun as a kid. And I guess I could tell this little story, but my parents wanted to encourage that. They got me this compound bow for Christmas one year, but it was, really cheap. It didn't fit me like we tell people to get fitted for archery equipment, make sure it fits,
And do you remember, just to add some flavor here, was it like the roller wheels, no cams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Just, probably a $25 bow or something. But I remember it gave me the largest whelps on my forearm, that bow hunting and archery became not fun real fast. And so I just laid that to the side. And so it wasn't until in college, a couple buddies started, they were bow hunters. I was going to West Virginia Tech at the time, not where I finished, but and these guys were serious bow hunters. And so they got me set up, went to Addington's, got actually set up with the first bow.
Okay.
And so this was in 1989.
So for you West Virginia folks, you will intimately know that name. For you out-of-towners, Addington's is the staple of what I would call central West Virginia. That was the staple bow hunt setup place. Would you agree?
Yeah, especially in its heyday. It was, that was the place to go. Yeah.
I always heard about, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, Ed, I always heard about the dichotomy between father and son, and that there was the, like junior Frank and then senior Frank. So were you senior Frank era?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And Frank Senior is still going, and he's forgotten more about bow setups than most people know. But he is starting to have some health issues and some things like that. And Frank Jr.'s got a very successful career. That he's living in Texas now, if you don't know that. But
okay. No, I hadn't kept up.
He shot, did lots of archery exhibitions at outdoor shows and things of that nature. Did that very successful for probably 2 decades until COVID really killed all of those events for him. And I think he had to find other work, and still does a little bit, but not nearly as much as like he used to.
Okay. Well, sorry to derail you. That name is
that was the genesis of starting things. And bow hunting has really become a passion, now. So been at it for over 30 years, I guess. And yeah.
That's awesome. And, you already like exponentially have me beat, because if I heard you right, you were shooting apples off of hay bales with a traditional bow.
Yeah, but it might have been only from 8 yards. I don't remember, but
I don't care. I don't think I can do that today from 8 yards. So, geez, that's amazing. Ed, I will never forget, and I cannot remember this gentleman's name. You would know him. I know you would. He is a staple in the traditional archery, nucleus in West Virginia, a guy that lives in Charleston, close to where my office was. And, he set me up with the traditional bow. We ran into each other somehow. I don't even know how. And he invited me to his house, and you could just tell he's one of these guys, like, you definitely need to take him up on it. He's really cool to talk to. And I knew like I was going to be in for a treat to go. Well, he set me up 2 different bows to just practice. And I promise on my life in his driveway at 10 yards, 10 feet, maybe even. I mean, I was slinging arrows off his driveway pavement. Trying to shoot with fingers and like realizing how far the divide was from like, I felt like such a loser as a compound bow hunter after that. I was like, dude, this traditional thing is no joke. It quickly told me, you know, what kind of skill it would take to do it. So I have a new respect ever since that day. I have a very intimate respect for traditional archery, and I still do aspire to get into it. I openly, admittedly have not. I still do aspire to get into it. So someone forced me to do it. Maybe it'll be Ed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went down that road myself, you know, was a little bit successful with compound and got to thinking, you know, this is too easy. I need more of a challenge, and switched over to a recurve, I'm guessing in the early 90s.
Okay.
And hunted probably for about 12 to 15 years, traditional only.
Wow.
And I ate so much tag soup. I mean, I was successful a few times, but you know, and my terms of successful were, you know, bringing home meat. Yeah. I'm not like David Miller you've had on your podcast and Kenny Davis that, you know, these guys have killed monster bucks and wonderful big trophies.
Dave Miller, like I didn't even know he hunted until the podcast. You know what I mean?
That's my trophy room right there is a picture, you know.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, I hope Dave Miller listens because I'm super glad he got into hunting, you know, just super glad him and Kenny started doing some hunting.
He's a great friend and good mentor to many people. For
sure, man. We all chase him spiritually and we chase him in the sport. So it's a fun, it's a fun chase to have, dude. He's one of my, you know, inner circle dudes. So so carry on, but man alive, this is some nuggets, Ed. I had no idea. You spent almost a decade being disciplined with a traditional archery gear only.
Yeah. But like I said, you know, there were some dry spells, some dry years, lots of tag soup eating. It's a challenge.
And where is home for you, Ed? Where'd you grow up and where's home for you today?
Grew up in Charleston, West Virginia. So I'm born and raised West Virginia, and I'm currently living in Sissonville, just outside of Charleston.
Okay. Now my operations manager, she runs my entire world basically, but Hannah, my assistant, she lives in Sissonville, and I call it Sisson Vegas. So, you know, you can have that term if you want. I call it that Sisson Vegas, you know, you get some big things going on there. I mean, hey, you have a Tudors Geno's combo, you know, like that's
right. Yeah.
That's something.
Hey, West Virginia staples, right?
100%. There's days I miss them. Don't worry. Since moving to Ohio, the one thing that I have not found yet, Ed, and this is, you're going to laugh. The one thing that I haven't found yet that we really learned to miss in West Virginia was pizza. There, I don't know why, but there is not, I haven't found any staple Ohio pizza joints that I thought were better than Husson's. That is my all time, or Geno's. I don't know why. It's just,
we've got a Husson's too.
I know, man. You guys are you're rolling in it in success out there in Sissonville. I think you went back to AAA too, didn't you?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Sorry. Pushing too much here. So born and raised out of staters here. That is Kanawha County. If you see it on a map, it is not Kanawha and it is not Kanawha. And I've heard lots of variations of that, but Kanawha County, West Virginia. There's just so much here that we're going to go through with Ed, but I'll tell you up front, Ed, what I have benefited in hearing and kind of vicariously living through here is that Ed and I mentor a young man that Ed mentors as well. And Braden does some editing for us, and you guys probably will see Braden on this podcast soon enough. He's wanting to be the co-host, but I said, you gonna be quiet? Can you be quiet enough to not derail the conversation? Because there's already
a challenge.
Yeah. There's already one of us that does that. So we can't have two, but watching Braden kind of grow up and be in hunting and just mentoring him the way I have, and knowing that Ed has equally spent as much time with Braden, it's just been really fulfilling to see that, something that I think, and we're going to talk through this today, Ed and I are going to talk through this today. There's something that I think as hunters, we all do a really bad job of, is carrying this tradition forward and bringing enough people. And I'm eating this crow myself. I mean, I'm eating this crow myself that we don't do a good enough job, I think, of carrying this tradition forward. But for someone like Braden, I've been able to watch, and I know Ed's been able to watch him take into the sport and love it like Ed and I do. And, one year at the West Virginia Bowhunters Association meeting, I think Braden got like 62 awards, and I was annoyed as can be because I'm like, this is the wrong kid's head to put all these awards on because he's already very proud. But we both love him to death. But Ed, just, if you don't hear it enough from me, I see what you do. I appreciate it. I've watched how much you've mentored him, and I am positive that it's not just Braden that you're pouring into and trying to pay that forward to show that next generation why we love bow hunting. So I do really appreciate it.
Well, I'll echo that back to you as well, Tyler, because, I know you've been a big influence in his life, and
good or bad, the jury is still out.
in the hunting area. Of course, I know he knows you from church and where you attended before you moved out of state. So, but just when I found out he liked to hunt. See, we go way back because I coached his uncles and his dad in wrestling, in pee-wee wrestling and stuff like that. So, it really makes me feel old. But when I found out, he had a love for hunting, and he got that through his grandfather and stuff. Yep. I was happy to be able to kind of step in and just help a little bit. I know when he had a compound, helped him kind of just learn how to sight things in and just, took him a time or two. But, I know he's really shadowing you right now, learning about land management and,
I push him hard enough. Yeah. I think there's days he wants to quit shadowing me because I'm hard on him, but
he's a great worker too. So
he is. And I tell him all the time, I push him harder than I would someone else because I know the potential he has, and I don't want to see that go to waste, So it's fun. It's really fun when, I'm tooting both of our horns, but it's fun when you've got someone who's as eager to learn and as much of a sponge and a hard worker as he is. So, I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers have got that same person in your life that you could take a little bit more intentionality with, and it would surprise you how fulfilling it is to go like, when Braden and I are together, I just assume film as much as I do hunt because I like watching him go through those motions. And I also like to tell him, you're moving too much, dude. Quit moving. Yeah. There's no deer around. Like, no, you don't know that. That's the point. That's the problem, Braden. You don't know that there's no deer around. They're watching you all the time, stretching, and it ain't been 15 minutes. Yeah. So,
I guess that's where I wish I was a better mentor, because I'm probably one that's a little fidgety myself too much.
I'm like, I might have to put him in fully enclosed blinds more often, and that's not helping the cause either. Yeah. But
that is a challenge, and I wish we knew how to do it better. In fact, I have probably a 9-year-old boy in my Sunday school class that is really athletic, and he's into all of those different sports. But he keeps asking, he's like, I really want to hunt. When I've done archery education and archery events at our church, center shot type events, he's always taken well to it. And he's kind of after me. He's like, help me. And it's kind of hard. It was easy for my son. Got my son introduced to it when he was 3 and let him start shooting a little tiny 7-pound longbow. And he's just taken to it. He's better bow hunter than I am.
And that's got to be fulfilling to say.
So it's, there's just challenges, I guess, when you're trying to find someone else to mentor and those obstacles. But
for sure,
yeah,
it's worth it though.
Like I heard, I think it was during one of the last podcasts with Kenny Davis, and they were talking about the activities that they were doing with DNR, and David Miller is involved with that too. I'm thinking, I think I'm going to try to get this young man or this boy and plugged into some of those events and help fuel the fire,
Yeah. And I know that Kenny is really connected with Bobby Warner and Beyond the Backyard. And of course, Beyond the Backyard is a huge outlet there in West Virginia for getting kids into the outdoors. And Bobby has just been incredibly inspiring. All those guys have, but just been incredibly inspiring to actually be that intentional with getting kids into the outdoors. So, man, I'm gonna spoil this a little bit for you guys. If you have no clue who Ed is, he is now 2nd-time multi-champion, 2-round national champion West Virginia Bowhunters Association president. So that I made the first part up, but he is a 2-time West Virginia Bowhunters Association president now. So I can tell you what Ed doesn't pat himself on the back about, and probably hear enough, is I've been to that association's banquets. I've been there multiple years now. And I'm opening with this, that I'm willing to accept this challenge, that you guys can prove me wrong. In any other state, I would openly hear it, especially here in Ohio. But I don't know that there's anyone that does it better that I have seen than what they do in the West Virginia Bowhunters Association, as far as trying to pay it forward, mentoring. They have a great awards banquet. They have a raffle at that banquet that is really good stuff, like really, really good stuff. I spent entirely too much money. And Ed, I think it was rigged last year. I'm just coming out and saying it because I didn't come home with jack squat. But I think the Bowhunters Association got $1,500 from me. So it's a win. It's all good. But
That is a win. That's great.
I didn't even get a set of broadheads, man. So, something's rigged, and I want to see the votes, but
I've never won anything either. I don't know what's up with that.
Then it's definitely rigged. No, listen, it's they do bow raffles. I mean, I could just go on and on. I don't want to steal the thunder for Ed. I do want to spend time talking through the Bowhunters Association, but what I know, and just to lead into kind of how'd you start there, Ed? How'd you get into that, and what's that like for you? Is what I know is it's a tireless. It's a tiring, but it's a thankless position that I think sometimes people just take for granted. And when that event goes on, and I know they have other events that go on, and the archery shoot, these things all take time, and they take effort, and they take intentionality, and someone has to work through that. And you're seeing and hearing the guy right now that does that. So it means a lot. I'm saying this one more time, and I'll shut up. I am open to the challenge. If you're listening to this and your state or your area has a better Bowhunters Association get together or culture than West Virginia Bowhunters Association, show me, prove it to me, because I think they're the cat's meow. I think they're legitimate. And with that, I like to talk through that if you're good with that. Kind of how does that happen? What do you guys do? What are you passionate about? And Ed has, before we went online, he made sure to clarify that a lot of the views that Ed may share, he's going to be detailed enough to say this is Ed McMinn's view, not President of West Virginia Bowhunters Association view. So nobody hold him to the wall if we start talking, if I, corner him about baiting or something and he doesn't want to answer.
Yeah. So, I appreciate that. And I hope some other people do challenge you, and you may lose some more money because you might be going to the Ohio Bowhunters Banquet or Illinois Bowhunters Banquet. Because,
wherever. Yep.
Every state should have an organization like ours. The genesis of it is, our association was founded in 1980, and I was not one of the founding members. But I've always, wanted to give back. When I wrestled, as soon as I graduated from high school, I became an official. And, trying to get back to the sport that I loved, as I was doing that. And then I kind of developed into some coaching. So when I got into bow hunting, which is basically my only hobby, we didn't really talk about that, but it's like the only thing I can afford because I can't do anything.
Wait a second. Hold on. You can afford it? I can't. So what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, it takes all the resources and all my time. So I can only have one passion, one extra hobby. So I think it was in 2000, the association was needing a secretary. And I had some computer skills. So I threw my hat in the ring and ran for secretary and did that for 2 different terms. And then it just kind of kept rolling. I served as vice president, served as president for 2 terms. And that was 2008 to 2012.
Okay.
And then as you roll off, as your term limited as a president, you can only serve 2-year terms. So then you serve as an advisor to the board. And so I did that while the next president served for his 4 years. And then I kind of came back into roles of secretary again. And then some terms as just on the board of directors as a director seat. And again, time rolls around, and at the time, our vice president who's a great guy, but he just really didn't want to, take on the role as being president. And so it kind of fell back to me again, and I kind of stepped back into that role. But you were talking about our banquet. I mean, I do take a lot of pride in it. We tend to sell out or very close to about 300 people. The last one that you were at, we did have a sellout. We were slightly over 300. And it is a good time.
How many, and let me back you up a second, Ed, how many people, just so we can start to quantify this, how many people are members of the West Virginia Bowhunters Association?
I would put us around in the 2,200, 2,300, something like that. And part of that reason I can qualify that is we changed this a number of years ago. All of our memberships are considered family memberships.
Okay.
So we have a multiplier effect in that.
Sure.
Tend to fathers and sons or fathers and daughters, sometimes even wives are bow hunters. Like we've got a current director and our secretary are the Mehalls, Tim and Carrie. They both bow hunt. Their son did when he was younger. And then we've got other directors that, have 3-4 kids and they all bow hunt. So we have a multiplying effect. And again, we do think bow hunting is a family sport. So we consider all of our memberships family memberships. So, and
tell me this, I want to just keep I want to play dumb here because some of these questions I actually don't know the answer to, Ed. So I'm curious.
Yeah.
What does a membership cost today, and what does that get them? What does that do for them? What do they get to participate in? How does all that work?
Sure. Yeah. So membership is $30, and again, it includes your children until they turn 18. At that point, we think they should be on their own membership.
Yep.
They get a quarterly magazine.
Okay.
And, of course, like membership card, a little decal for your truck or, whatever,
Yep.
wherever. Those are just kind of the tangibles. The biggest thing is they get representation at DNR meetings. We attend every DNR meeting, Natural Resource Commission meetings, trying to represent bow hunter ideals and, working with DNR on different projects. And, in the past, we've made donations for like transmitters for the bear studies, transmitters for the elk that are down there in the 4 counties now.
Hold on. Now say that again. You guys helped with those?
Yeah, we've made donations to those kind of projects, things like that.
Okay.
And then, of course, we watched, legislation. And I say this all the time. We're very fortunate in West Virginia that we don't battle a lot of anti-hunting groups, but we know it's on the surface, and it's certainly coming around. And we were involved, as association with the public land issue that was going around the nation, with the Capitol. And so, we try to be very active in contacting our U.S. senators, representatives, as well as our state senators and delegates for issues that involve hunting and bow hunting issues in our state. So we do monitor during those 60 days that the legislature is in session and try to have a voice to represent bow hunters.
And I am going to put Ed on the spot here, but I want this to speak to kind of the state of the union of, let's call it bow hunters for a second. What, if you know, Ed, and I didn't tell him any of this in advance, so everybody give him a break. Do you know what the peak memberships was for the West Virginia Bowhunters Association? Was there ever a year or a time frame that it was, the highest, or is that this year that it's the highest it's ever been?
No, I actually wouldn't know the exact numbers, but I know at one time we were over 5,000.
Okay. So there you have it.
Half,
there you have it. This is, that's what I was curious of is, and by the way, everybody, I need to go ahead and eat crow myself. I lived in West Virginia my entire life until 3 years ago, and I don't know that I was a member. I don't know that I was, Ed. So I might have been for a couple of years, but I don't know that I was. So I'm eating crow myself, where like we're, and Ed and I could talk about all these controversial issues, but you just said, hey, we're basically advocates. And I'm going to coin a phrase here in Ohio. There's a hunter, Ohio deer hunter advocate group here that's their deal is we are advocating at legislative events and we are lobbying and, we're spending money to advocate to be a voice for hunters. So I was just curious how loud the West Virginia Bow Hunters Association voice is. So there you go. There's your telling sign is, would you agree we have probably more controversial issues today than ever, but you've lost members?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, some of it, and I think around, because my first term as president, I, tried to reach out to other groups like the Pennsylvania Bow Hunter Association, the Ohio Bow Hunter Association. And I think we all hunting groups, we all struggle with the same thing is people don't tend to be joiners. We like to participate in the sports and do those things, but we're not really great about joining our voices together and standing up and until something's threatened, and then we kind of come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. Well, and Ed, you're saying it much nicer than I even would. And I was listening to a podcast a while back with Mike Rex on the Hunter podcast, and Mike was talking about this exact issue in the Ohio. Mike is president or something of the Ohio Wildlife Council is what I think they're called. And they are huge advocates of the DNR and, lobbying and, but that's exactly what he said is we are a very divided group of outdoorsmen. We're, a very divided campus, let's call it, that is trying to fight against a very unified campus, which is insurance and lobbyists and people who are not outdoorsmen and women and people that don't care about deer and they want to see less numbers. And, he kept making the point that these insurance lobbyists want to make sure that deer numbers go down because they pay less insurance claims. They make more money. It's business to them. They couldn't care less, but they are very unified in shutting us down in hunting. And then here we are over here in the hunting campus and we're all just, taking our ball and going home because Tyler wants to talk about baiting and crossbows. Well, that's what he kept saying is the problem. Yeah. We're so divided over our own personal interests inside the space that we won't hold hands, unite, and come together as a force. So, yeah. Anyway, Ed, it's your fault, Ed. You got me fired up. It's not my fault. So, and we're kind of jumping around here, but I like this. So, you've got 2,200-ish members. That $30 a year gets them essentially, and I would argue the most beneficial thing it gives them is a voice. And you do a magazine publication, which obviously is not free. They get a quarterly magazine. That's awesome. I mean, I only get a yearly magazine for most things that are like this. So you're producing 4 content pieces a year, correct?
Yes, 3 to 4. I would say that because it all membership driven. And so based on how much content we have, members write articles, send photos, things of that nature. So sometimes we do three a year, but we tend to try to do 4. Yeah.
What do you think is keeping when you are in that seat? What takes the most of your time throughout the year as the president? Yeah, what are the things that are taking the most of your time that you're handling or dealing with, if you had to quantify it?
Most of it is probably just our event planning.
I figured. I just didn't want to assume. So that's where I think you guys shine. What's that look like?
Yeah. Typically, we hold 3D shoots around our state, and we try to vary our locations, or we use affiliated clubs around the state to host those events. And we, because we're trying to reach new areas, new people, there's a lot of people, we found them at the hunt show and all over the place, that people still don't even know about the Bow Hunter Association. And, and we don't do a great job social media, ourselves. We've got an Instagram page, but it's not very active. We do have a Facebook page, which is a little bit more active, but I also know that there's a lot of the younger generation that aren't even using the Facebook stuff. So, but I think we had 12 different events this year.
Wow. I was just getting ready to ask. Wow, that's way more than I thought. 12 different events. And I'm assuming here, but is the end of the year banquet, is that the biggest one?
That is, yeah.
Okay.
we just had typically what should be our biggest event is our fall shoot, which we call the Big Buck Classic.
Okay.
And we had, I think, probably in total people shooting on the competition range on our fun range. We were just under probably 120, somewhere in that range, shooters for the whole weekend.
Wow.
I wish that was double that. But
I'll make a point here. So you said this is in the fall. What time frame is it usually? When was it last year?
Last year, I think it was in August, and this year we just finished it. It was the first weekend in September. It was the 5th and 6th.
I was about to say, if you're doing this during hunting season and still getting 120 bow hunters to show up, that's pretty good.
Yeah. No, we always cut things off. We know. In fact, one of the things we'd run up against through this year was, without me realizing it, was urban bow hunts had already started. Morgantown, Wheeling, Weirton, every place that allows urban bow hunting, even Charleston. Yeah. So you already got bow hunters that are in the woods ready to do the real thing. And here we're having a bow shoot. So you'll look for us to move that maybe back into late August next year. Okay. Yeah. That's an amazing point. I never even thought about that. Yeah. But that takes a lot of time. And of course the banquet the banquet's not just me. I do have a good board of directors. There's a lot of planning that goes into place. We bring in seminar speakers, putting all those things together. And I'll just go ahead and announce our guest speaker, our primary keynote speaker for next year will be Kurt Wells, who's the editor at large for Bowhunter Magazine, and he's host for Bowhunter TV. So he's going to be real entertaining. That's awesome. A lot of information to share. That's awesome. I remember last year when we were there, what was the gentleman's name? He was super sick, and he still came out and spoke, but he was like real sick. That was Laramie Sasquatch. There you go. Miller. Yeah. And even David Miller was like, dude, if this guy's the real deal. Like, he was super sad that he couldn't just let it rip, because you could tell that dude was mega sick. He was, I felt horrible for him. It hit him like Friday evening after he got there. And just, he didn't recover till a couple of days after he got home. Yeah. So he was terrible. Let me ask a question here, because I don't want to get all our listeners hyped up on this banquet. Is someone allowed to come to the banquet and just pay to go into the banquet if they're not a member of the Bowhunters Association? They can, yes. Okay. We encourage membership, but you don't have to be a member. Okay. And the reason we did that was we had a number of years we were getting close to sell out, but we weren't turning people away. And we were making it members only. And so, when you have members only, we want to fill all the seats. So we decided to open it up. It's available to non-members. We encourage membership. Yep. But it's not required. Well, and that, then you could make the argument as well that if it continues to grow, that the $30 memberships can also get them the ability to come to the banquet. Now, you guys charge at the banquet as well, because to give everybody some idea here, you're talking how many people typically show up there? 300, you said? Yeah, right at 300. Yeah. And this is a meal. This is several vendors there. There's workshops throughout the day. There's a bow shoot going on throughout the day. There's you got a keynote speaker. Of course, you've got the raffle. There's a silent auction going on. I mean, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of work. Yeah. They're selling raffle tickets. They've got. I mean, they take the entire hotel that weekend. Yeah, that is our primary fundraiser for the entire year. That gives us money to operate, buy 3D targets, which are not inexpensive. Yeah. We invest, a lot into Archery in the Schools program. Some of that money comes out for grants for those programs to continue trying to get more young people involved in the sport. Yep. So. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot. And so that's why when I say in the beginning, I'm going to challenge someone to see if somebody else does it better. This is what I mean. And we'll continue to unpack this, but this event is really good. So I wanted to clarify that, because I obviously have listeners that aren't in West Virginia. So if these are people that are willing to come support the banquet, buy raffle tickets, all the stuff that I would hope ends up in the West Virginia Bowhunters Association's account,
you have aspirations of that growing past 300, or you kind of feel like this is where you guys want to live?
I would love to see it grow more. The thing's going to be is finding a venue to host it. We're currently in Flatwoods. I don't know if we mentioned that at the Days Inn in Flatwoods, which is central to West Virginia. So we're able to draw from all over. It's not a far drive, no matter where you live. If you're in Mingo County or if you're in Weirton, West Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's very central. There's a great club there, Mid-State Archers, and they host our indoor and our outdoor 3D shoot. So there's a lot of great things that happen right there in the center of the state.
Yep.
To grow, further, we're probably going to have to look at like something like the Charleston Civic Center, like where the NRA, they put in 800 or 900 at the NRA banquet, Okay. But we're going to lose a lot of the other ancillary things that go with that if we, if we could grow to that level.
And something I'm trying to think through, does the hotel there at Flatwoods that is 300 their cap in the conference room?
It is. Yes.
That's what I figured. That kind of predicates that. So,
yeah.
Well, I guess, hey, listeners, challenge accepted. If you want to go spend some money and hopefully end up with, and I'm just going to rattle some, you know what? Actually, I'm not. Ed, what kind of stuff gets raffled off and auctioned off at the banquet? Just you tell the people.
Well, let me hit
all the stuff I didn't get. Okay. Just,
know,
not that I didn't come home with, everybody.
Yeah. So I'll hit the high points. We do have like these 4 corner games in the big banquet room, and there's always great products there. We're talking like Matthews bows or Hoyt bows, great things. But some of the other things, like you just mentioned, our past speaker, the Laramie Sasquatch, he felt so bad for being sick during that week and couldn't really uphold his end of the bargain of the contract. He's donated to us an elk or mule deer hunt for next year's auction. So you'll get to hunt with him or one of his guides there in Colorado. And then we've got...
let's put a number on that, Ed, just a ballpark.
Well, he sells those hunts for $8,000, I think.
Right. I was going to say 5 to 10 all day.
Yeah.
Big
he
deal.
felt really bad.
Big deal. Well, and they had us a couple years ago. The speaker was Sean Luchtel, and through that, Sean and I have become pretty good friends and connected, and we talk often. So we're not talking. Sean Luchter is Heartland Bowhunter. I mean, we're not talking people that people don't know.
And Michael Huntsucker is on. We're trying to work out negotiations for him to be on after Kurt Wells.
Awesome.
I mean, it's pretty much done except for signing the contract.
Nice. So I derailed you. 4 corners. What do we do with the 4 corners?
We play games. One corner's you throw darts at 3D target and you win tickets for that. And then you can win whatever there's 2 prizes and you select which prize you want. And the other one goes into an auction. And then we've got other items on our auction. We've got a great supporter out of Wyoming, Jay Butler. He runs Pronghorn Ranch. And he donates a pronghorn hunt there in Wyoming. He's done that for a number of years. I need to contact him and make sure we got it for this year, but I feel certain with his past support,
no pressure, Jay.
We'll do it.
And I could put a ballpark number on that stuff, Ed, and I bet you guys have, but with what's being donated to then be raffled, whether it be a hunt or a product, something tangible or intangible, it's a lot.
It's a lot. I think probably in prizes, we had over 25,000 in prizes, things, targets.
I was thinking 50 in my head. Yeah. Okay. You're talking, all right. So you're talking tangibles even.
Yeah. Tangibles. And
then walkaways.
And then you add the hunts, the things that, let me throw out another plug for West Virginia Experience. Larry Nybert, right here, West Virginia fishing outfitter. He's been very good about supporting us and so there will be a fishing trip on the auction down the New River, a float trip.
Nice.
Things like that. We've got an outfitter over in Ohio that's been donating a turkey hunt to us. It's a bow hunt for turkeys.
Yeah.
Wide Rock Outfitters is that guy, Mike Conant. So, we tend to have, and then we've got, I know right now we already have 2 African safaris. Which you may think that seems unusual, but we got quite a few members that love to travel to Africa and pile up the
I was going to say,
dish.
you can thank our boy Josh Bomar for all the, the weird stuff everybody shoots with a bow now. So no, I think it's amazing. It would not have been, well, Ed, we growing up in West Virginia. Yeah. You don't really have the concept in your head of shooting an African animal that you can't even name. But as that progresses, I think an African bow hunt would be a lifetime deal. I think that's awesome. Yeah. And am I wrong? You can usually take multiple species while you're there.
You can.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, one of our directors just got back from a trip, and he harvested 5 different species.
See,
with his recurve,
dude.
So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, Ed, I don't know if you want me to air this podcast because I think you're going to be having a lot of out-of-state banquet participants. If you're good with that, I think
that'd
you might
great.
be getting some. Honestly, listeners, I mean it. Message me, DM me, YouTube, whatever, wherever you're listening to this. I'd love to see you guys say, hey, I heard about this. I want to see what West Virginia does, and we're going to be there. And I'll say, Ed,
yeah,
you better expand to the parking lot.
We'll have them hit our website, make a reservation.
Yep.
Yep.
No, for real. Let me know what that is before we wrap up. Let me know where they need to go. But let's keep going here because Ed's he's on the tip of his tongue. You have these 4 corner games, and maybe you already said it, just my stupid ADD brain. But then that gives you raffle tickets usually, right?
Yes.
You get tickets. Then what do you do with the tickets? That keep going with how this all works because it's super fun. And by the way, we're people of faith. Okay, this is not gambling. Okay, folks, this is raffles. We're Christians. This is not gambling. Okay,
we're supporting
right.
things we
love. It's for a good cause.
Good cause. Donations. Yeah. So I mean, we draw those tickets for those corner prizes, and then the winner, is in the room. They pick which one they want. The other item goes to the live auction. Now, the other raffles that you were talking about we call the bucket raffles, and they're out in the lobby, and you buy a souvenir coffee mug. It's got our logo, whatever that year's logo is.
I used mine this morning, and my last year's yesterday. I love them.
Yeah, and so they're full of tickets, raffle tickets, and you drop those in your bucket prizes, and we draw those throughout the night.
So name some of the bucket stuff though, because this is where what kind of prizes? Because this is seriously where I'm telling you guys this isn't junk.
Yeah, I mean, again, it could be safety harnesses, it could be tree stands, it could be climbing sticks, it can be a woman's purse,
Yeti coolers, Arctic coolers, Yeti cooler.
Yeti coolers,
Arctics. I mean, I've seen legit stuff. Broadheads.
Grills, field dressing kit,
rangefinders, binoculars.
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
It's the whole gamut. Yeah,
and correct me if I'm wrong, Ed. That is all donated.
No, actually, it's not.
Okay, is some donated or
some donated? And here's one of the things I started last year. I will take credit for having this thought. We've got a lot of great supporters.
Yeah.
And our members that support it, And so I started, soliciting and say, hey, if you would like to underwrite one of our prizes, because we've had to buy, we used to get all kinds of donations. And, it's just the donation thing. Everybody gets hit up, softballs, baseball, everything. And so the donations have really dried up for us a great deal. So we have to pre-purchase a lot of things.
Yep.
But, by doing this, we ask our members to underwrite things. And so a lot of our members, step up and, they'll underwrite a $100 Badlands backpack, and so they'll contribute and donate in that way. And then, again, the association, through some of our funds, we will just have to make purchases for things that don't get covered. And then we make it back up when people take their chances.
So let me ask Ed, and I'm not trying to peel back the wrong layers here, but some of this $30 membership money you're saying has to be spent to get some of the inventory going for the banquet? Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, when you start to look at, and by the way, everybody, I'm complaining. I got I did get Ed. I think it was back here. You guys aren't allowed to see my floor. If you would see the lower version of this camera, you can't hardly walk in here for drones and rangefinders and camera batteries and solar panels. But anyways, there was this box that I got from the last banquet that was a hunt vault, I want to say, kit, and actually literally that hat right there was in the box. But it was like a monocular, broadheads, a knife, literally, man, we looked this stuff up. I think I paid like $60 for the box. And, I was what do you call that? Silent auction.
It was an auction. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I paid 60, maybe $80. And I looked that stuff up and it was like $280 worth of value.
Yeah.
So I'm giving this to the listener to say, like, they're not trying to get you, this is really good stuff. And, here's a fun one, Ed. Maybe you know this number, maybe you don't. What kind of money is typically generated that night? And how do you measure that? I'm sure, you have banquet, ticket sales or whatever, but then how much money is typically generated in like the raffles and the things that you can see, if you know?
I'm going to scratch my head here a little bit. I'm going to pull this number. I'm going to think we were around between 40 and 50,000.
Okay.
Last year.
All right. And I'm
that's
just
probably before expenses, but that's,
but how, like, I just want people to hear that, how much time they're putting into an event that is now creates the interest out of 300 people. Let's just, you know what, Ed? All right. We're just going to do some math here. If 300 people came and 40,000 was generated, just dividing that by 300, 40,000, just for fun here. I just want to know, 40,000 roughly was generated, divided by 300 people. That's $133 per person generated at an event. That's wild. All around hunting. It's really, really good. It's really good. I'm enjoying this, Ed. So we have different
That's
topics.
a whole lot less than I spent, by the way.
Whoa, hold on. No, my wife's not in the house, so I can say these numbers. I helped you generate 6 people.
Yeah.
But hey, I got a box from it, right? But no, it really is fun. Just a little sidebar pro tip here. If anyone's going to come to this event, this winter, they're in the winter, right? No, it's early spring technically.
It's usually in late March. Yeah. Now this year for 26, we're going to be in the first weekend of April. It's like the 10th, 11th.
Well, let me just give you, pro tip here for any guys listening and maybe women that if you're going to come to this event, what I do is I charge the banquet cost to my card, and then I take like $100 out on the card, and that's all Molly sees. And then I get in the old cash stash on the way there, get my envelope system out, and that's when I party. So I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just saying it can cost less on paper than it really does. Just cash is king when you get there. Ed, you guys take all forms of payment, correct?
We do. I like that tip too. That's good. I might have to start using it myself.
Solid advice. I have some other great advice. By the way, everybody, let me just be clear here. My wife and I have one account for everything. Everything is we're gold. We're having fun here. But my cash stash, I'm getting over here. My cash envelope, it's gotten really low. It's just so like I'm gonna have to go do some stuff. Ed, you can't have the event right now. But hey, it did buy me some stuff. That's an Illinois deer permit, so it's fine.
There you go. Yeah.
But anyways, back to the event. I just can't state clearly enough. Braden will always ask me like, hey man, you want to go to the event? And it's like, dude, I'm in. Let's go. I want to go. It's fun. It's a great night. Great environment. And that room is full of people that are literally of a small niche. And Ed and I want it to grow, but it's bow hunters. It's people that are passionate about bow hunting, about hunting. And, typically, it's a whitetail-esque, room of bow hunters. So one more thing I want to cover with this, with the Bow Hunters Association, and then we're going to pull Ed out of the boxing ring of being Mr. Bow Hunter Association president, and we're going to allow him to unadulteratedly, however you would say it, speak of his own mind here. What, Ed, the last thing I want to talk through is what kinds of awards do you guys typically give there? Because there's a litany of things that in the state of West Virginia, if you're a bow hunter and you know about the Bow Hunters Association, it is a thing that people are competing for this award and this award. So what are some of the things, if they come to mind, Ed, what are some things that people receive awards for at the banquet?
Yeah. Okay. So we do recognize any game harvest taken with, compound, recurve, longbow. So it could be, big game, small game, things like that. We provide recognition for those.
For any member, you're just saying almost like a chart.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, if you're a member, you're eligible to get a big game certificate.
Awesome. Okay.
For maybe it could be your first white. Now, we do the first deer award is another award that we recognize, and that's not necessarily your first year of your life, but it's your first year as a member. So you might be 56-year-old that just started bow hunting and you killed a doe this year. As your first year as a member, we'll give you a plaque for your first deer.
That's awesome.
And it tends to be, the younger in the crowd that take advantage of that because it is their first deer harvest.
Yeah.
And it's with archery equipment. Obviously, it's bow hunters. And then some of our other big awards. I mean, we recognize people for like outdoor writer or outdoor media type awards. Maybe you might be in a nomination for one here in the future with the Land of Legacy podcast.
Maybe
we recognized a podcast person in the past. We actually have an award that we don't give every year. It has to be earned, but we'd like to recognize legislators that really stand up and help support hunting legislation or something that really benefited the DNR through legislation. So we'll recognize legislators sometimes.
I love that.
And then to go back toward our game awards, we do have a bow hunter of the year. And all of these individuals, we ask our memberships when we send out our banquet packet, we say, nominate, tell us about somebody that, has done something wonderful or had a great successful year. Because it's not always necessarily about the number of animals you killed or
how big it was or whatever. Yeah. So I want to, you're not allowed to spoil last year's bow hunter of the year. I want to talk through this, guys, I just wish you guys could see if you're watching. I have notes of questions I'm going to ask Ed. We've gotten to number 1, so we're doing good here so far. But this is fun. This is how God leads us where He wants. But you just said so. This is member voted of who receives these awards.
It's member nominated, and then the board of directors selects the winners.
Got it. Member nominated. That's a better way to put it. Yeah. So this is almost this is an internal vote. So keep going. This is fun. There's a lot of awards that they give. You just said somebody's first deer, whether usually it's first deer with archery equipment as a member of the association.
Right. Yeah.
You have a bow hunter of the year.
Yeah, we recognize the DNR officer of the year, as well as a wildlife biologist or any other DNR employee. Sometimes it's been I forget how you term, but we've recognized the director secretary one time.
Okay.
So it can be a civilian, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a wildlife biologist.
A peasant.
It is. Yeah.
a lay people. Got you.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
and you've got
some others. And of course, then there's the big buck and the big bear awards. And then we've got some others that we have fun with, the largest carp or the largest groundhog.
I forgot that. Okay. I like that. Ed, oh shoot, I didn't do that with archery equipment. I had a groundhog getting into my corn over in the barn a while back, and I did shoot it with a 22. Is that
that wouldn't qualify? No, it's got to be with the bow.
I didn't want to deflect the arrow.
Yeah.
So I just chose to deflect the bullet. It was all good. Yeah. Man, that's good. So,
and then we also recognize people for photography. We do photo contests, and it can be game harvest. Where and David Miller is one of the best at this. When you've got a nice buck, he knows how to frame it and picture it.
Yeah.
But it could be that, or it could be just a bow hunter experience, maybe a beautiful sunrise.
Yep.
We get selected.
Yep.
And we always have our guest speaker pick the pictures.
Yeah.
And the other category is on trail camera. So, one year I think we had a buck that was mounting a doe on a trail camera, So
Nice.
just, it could be anything,
That's amazing.
Whatever your camera happened to catch.
That's amazing. Yeah, I had forgotten that one. That is a good one. But trail camera photo of the year, and those are all, and even all of them that are finalists. Like it's all fun to see, some of those there, and just kind of see how that goes. So, Ed, we have to talk about this because I was there, and you guys, I want to set the scene, and then I want you to tell us about last year's Bow Hunter of the Year and why he got it. But I was there. Obviously, I don't know any of the candidates. To my knowledge, I didn't know any of the candidates. If it's not Dave Miller, it's because he didn't kill a 300 incher this year. And, we're all like, that's finally not Dave Miller. Dave is the Nick Saban, Alabama of the West Virginia Bow Hunters Association. Yeah. And so we love you, Dave. We do. We just get sick of your big bucks. But anyways, when I was there, I had no clue who was going to be the Bow Hunter of the Year. Maybe other people there did know, but could you talk through who was the Bow Hunter of the Year and why? Because I think I think there's a lot to it.
Sure. Yeah. This year's selection was Jamie Withrow. Jamie lives in Kanawha County, and he overcame some insurmountable obstacles during his bow hunting season. It was before the season, and I don't want to ramble on too much, but he basically just about died. He had some kind of a reaction. He had basically a heart attack, and fortunately had these ongoing symptoms or something that led him to get to the ER. If he hadn't already been in the ER, he would have died. I forget how many times they had to shock his heart.
And where was he when he had the heart attack? Do you remember?
He was in Charleston. He
wasn't hunting though.
He wasn't hunting. He was actually in this. This happened before the season even got here. It was late August, probably, if I recall correctly, because he spent 2 weeks in ICU.
Okay.
On the doorsteps of death, and without God's mercy, would have gone off into eternity.
Yeah.
And basically they were telling him at that point, when he finally came out of, ICU and all of the tests and everything, that basically he was going to have trouble just learning how to walk.
Yeah.
And he went from walking out of the hospital within 2 weeks to, I think it was in another 2 weeks, he was in a tree stand. And then managed to go on, and he urban hunts, and he hunts also in other parts of Kanawha County. I forget. I think he killed his limit, almost killed his limit on the urban tags. Took 2 additional deer. Nothing tremendous trophy wise. I think one was a 7-point or something. But he also killed a West Virginia black bear. And it's just And I can't go into all the medical stuff that he went through and
I remember them detailing it.
But it was just amazing that he had the wherewithal and the will, the desire to. Most of us, I know what I would. I think I would like to think I would do kind of the similar thing, but I could also see myself sitting on the couch watching college football, and feeling sorry for myself for having gone through all of that, and he didn't. And overcome those obstacles and had a fantastic year. And so he was the one that was selected as the Bow Hunter of the Year for this, this past year.
Yep. Amazing story. Cause I can't resonate with what you're saying more, that I don't know if I would push that hard. I, might make a pretty solid excuse of, well, I had a heart attack. So don't really have it in me, or, and I know we got to see through him getting the award, a very supportive spouse. And I can only assume that she was cheering him on, and, you could have a spouse that says, hey, you're not doing this, or I'm putting my foot down. I'm not allowing that. This is crazy. Just to get clarification on this story here, Ed, Did he have to use a crossbow? Because I think I remember him saying like he couldn't pull a bow back because of the.
He did, yeah. I think it was. I don't know if it was one or two. He did use a crossbow early on, and Jamie's a very strong man.
Oh yeah, when he walked up, I was like,
he's got some guns.
Yeah.
And I believe the bow that he used was a 75-pound bow, and so the most he could turn it down was like to 68.
Okay.
Something like that. So, but he worked his way back up into,
pulling that
during
back.
the season or whatever to, where he could finally shoot consistently with his bow. And only one or two of those animals that he harvested were with the crossbow. The rest were all with his compound.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, for sure. So, goes without saying here, now that I said it early and I'll say it again, find me a better association to model after than what Ed does. And I mean this, I'm saying that kind of facetiously, but you do a lot right. You're a really good advocate for the sport, Ed, and I just hope you know it. And I hope you hear it enough from members or people that see in and out of what you do. It does mean a lot. And you're doing a much better job being an advocate for bow hunters than a lot of us. So I really do appreciate it. And I love coming to your events. I enjoy it. And I think you're doing an amazing job. So if you don't hear it enough, you heard it from me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just me. I think it's the whole association. We're always trying to be good, good sportsmen. We have a litany of things things that we expect from our members, and that is, obeying laws, regulations, being a good steward. That's kind of what we expect from our membership. So it's just a reflection of our membership.
Well, I want to jump to something here that we had talked about offline, and this was when I told Ed, I don't know of any association that does it better than you guys. I don't even know since I've moved to Ohio, and this is what could segue us into this. Since I moved to Ohio, I started looking around and I didn't even know of an association that existed near as big as what the West Virginia Bowhunters Association was. So could you tell me, when Ed and I were talking offline, he had mentioned that the Ohio Bowhunters Association, you guys actually have kind of a working relationship. Could you kind of talk through how that looks and how that has evolved? And I don't know what you know at this point, because if there's anyone listening here and you're from Ohio and again, I mean this. I'm not just making a joke. If there's an association that that, number one, Ed would say could link arms with what they're doing to make an even louder voice for advocating for bow hunting, we're in. We want to hear about it. So if you know of it, let us know. But Ed, I'll shut up. What's it look like with you and the Ohio Bow Hunters Association?
Yeah, so we had a director a few years back that reached out to the Ohio Bow Hunters. Because I mentioned, just about every state does have a bow hunting association. And so we've kind of developed a little challenge between our two organizations, just to try to develop some camaraderie between the two of us, but also to learn what each of us are doing and try to, utilize the best parts of those within the two. Just to kind of kick this thing off, we developed a 3D shoot. It had been started back in the early 90s, and it lasted for about 2 years and then fizzled out. And so this director recently contacted them again and said, let's try to bring that back and see if we can get it going and keep it going. So we did. We held our first event last year, and we hosted it. We hosted it at Camp Virgil Tate, which is, right around Cross Lanes, if you're familiar with that, Tyler.
Yeah. And when you say hosted event, this is a mingled event with Ohio Bowhunters Association?
Yeah, with Ohio Bowhunters. Yeah.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
And the way we laid it out was we developed classes. We had a men's class, women's class, youth, and a traditional. And we take the top 3 scores from each of those classes to determine, who's going to win. We've got a nice, I know we were going to talk about this, I would have brought my plaque up.
And I didn't know we were either. So that's how it typically goes with me.
We do have a traveling plaque with both of our logos on it.
Nice.
And we won, West Virginia Bowhunters won the first year. This past summer, it was in late August, they hosted the event in Jackson County, Ohio. Jackson County, Ohio bow hunters held it for them because none of us bow hunter associations, we don't have our own property. Some people have that misconception, that we own property or something and let our members hunt on that. Unfortunately, that is not true. Unless Tyler's got a farm for us to buy.
Ed wishes that was the case.
But so we traveled over to Jackson, Ohio, and again we brought the plaque home again this year. So next year we're going for the three-peat.
I was going to say, I don't know if everybody's keeping tabs on the Battle of the Ohio River muskrats here, but the South, I don't know what you call that, the Southeast, the team from the Southeast took it, huh?
Yeah. The South will rise, right?
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, I mean this. I mean, I want Ohio to have something like this. I want Illinois to have it. I want Kentucky to have it. I want whatever state you're listening from to have it. Because Ed said it best in the beginning. This is a voice. This is a body. This is an ecosystem. And if you're ate up with hunting, and this is the thing that we all do a bad job of, Ed. I'll get off my rant in a second. But we do a bad job of not being united against a very united front. And we've talked about this, that I just want to create this normal atmosphere that has to exist in the hunting world for us to go together, because Ohio and West Virginia have nothing to gain or lose by loving or hating each other because you're both bow hunters. You have nothing to gain or lose from it. Ohio and Kentucky has there's nothing to gain or lose. We have everything. I should say it this way. We have nothing to lose by partnering. We have everything to gain by partnering. That's how I should say that. Anyways, Ed, hey, he said it softly, everybody, but them Buckeyes is 0-2 in that W Buckeye bow shoot. So I don't know what campus I would fall on that. I think I'd have to wear like a referee shirt,
Look like a zebra, huh?
Something. I'd have to blend in, man. I'll just be a sponsor. So, but you told me this offline and I found this incredibly interesting, and then I won't have a sidebar too far, but talk about the dynamic with what does the Ohio Bow Hunters Association look like that from what you've known from these events that you've done together? Cause you told me they have a really big, like traditional presence, it seems like.
Yeah, they do. Like we talked about that event. And I think one of the reasons it tips the scale so much to West Virginia is we have several great women shooters they can just shoot lights out, compound shooters.
Yep.
The past year, we've got a couple. They're actually like shooting in the semi-pro or pro class in the IBO shoots. So, we bring the big ones out.
I might know one of these girls. Hold on. Small world. Is one of them named Andrea? There's a girl, I cannot think of her last name, that when I worked many moons ago in Spencer at a printing company, I worked with her sister, who was an Andrea, who she always talked about her sister being an IBO shoot. And
she sounds familiar too.
I know, I can't think of
the recent ones. Anyway. I was thinking of Laney Smith, I think's her last name.
Okay.
And Shelley Harper.
Oh yeah, Shelley Harper. Duh, I know Shelley. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool.
And Shelley's sister came this year, and so.
So you're pack. You got a little bit of NIL going on. You're saying there,
we're stacking the deck a little on our favor. Certainly.
Got some 5-star NIL gals coming in there. Yeah. Okay.
And we've got a great. One of the things that you think you probably noticed this at our banquet, but we've got a lot of young people, 14 to 18, and we're trying to really target, those 20s.
Yep.
We're needing the next generation really to step in and step up.
Yep.
And we've got some great shooters and bow hunters that are in that youth class that really help us pull out the win, as far as competition.
Yep.
But it's great to see that we're going to have that feeding into the association, coming up as well.
It is. That is. That means you're doing enough right that you're getting the next generation to take that on.
Yeah. And so, from what I can see on the outside observing for the Ohio bow hunters, probably 80% that were coming to that event were shooting traditional equipment, which, they love the challenge, and, that's great. But, I don't know how much they're they're able, I'm sure they'd like to, and reach out to, the others, because they even, as our conversations led, with, their president, his name's Dan Baxter. They even allow crossbows to come to their events. So they are open arms to anyone shooting an arrow or a bolt, can be a part of their association, And so I don't know where if they are facing difficulties in attracting more membership and growing, again, I just think it's the nature of the beast for all of us. Just like we talked about our membership, we're about half from our heyday, and we seem to be very level. We lose on an annual renewal membership base. We lose about the same amount that we bring in as new members. So we seem to be very level based, and not, even though there's aspects of it that's growing, like women taking on bow hunting, a lot more, and youth. You're
still having some attrition.
Yeah, still having some attrition in that. So,
well, hey, hopefully people are listening here, because this is stuff, there's a lot of stuff in the world that I think is not super worthy of having a membership in, right? Everything's shifted to a membership anymore. Ed, you remember the day when you could just buy a software, or you could just buy a package, or a CRM, or a computer software, or whatever it is. Everything now, you can't get Microsoft Office on your computer anymore. It's a subscription. You know what I mean? It's like everything is a subscription now. So the argument I would make is this is a good one. This is a good one worth being part of. I mean, this is putting your money where your mouth's at. So
yeah, and I think maybe some to the degree of this is, and I think you've had this on another topic in one of your other podcasts, was just the fact that we are losing hunters.
100%.
And just the aging population is a factor in that to some degree, or the traditions aren't being passed down, and that's where it falls on us to keep it alive. And
it does, man. I feel super responsible for that too. And I've talked to Bobby Warner offline, and like, how could I get more involved with what he does? But you know what? Like, I don't really think we have to overcomplicate it. It's just, and we didn't plan to go here, but it's just like this new tattoo I have on my arm. This whole thing that we've seen in our country, and we all ask ourselves, how do we get back to the right thing? And it starts in your household. Like, it starts in one household at a time, and it starts in pointing our eyes. Obviously, with this Charlie Kirk murder, I'm talking about it. It's not a left or a right. It's a point your eyes to Jesus. That is it. But okay, so Tyler, how does this apply to bow hunting? Well, if I don't mentor, if I don't take on another Braden, or Braden now at 20 years old doesn't take on another Braden, or Ed doesn't take on another 9-year-old from his church, class. If we don't, you listeners, if we don't actually take the action to be intentional with steering the next generation into this, it's just not going to happen. And I think that's obviously where we don't do a good job. I mean, it just is. That's where you see the attrition. Because Ed, I would guess, I don't know if you can quantify this. Maybe you can with your gut. But is the attrition that you lose, is it geared in an upper age class, or do you think it's geared all across the board? Or is there any kind of age class you think that attrition is geared in? Like where you lose more memberships from 25 and under than you do 50 plus. You know what I mean? Or is it all across the board? Yeah.
I'm going to say it's probably the middle section.
Okay.
Because, and I'm just thinking, looking around our banquet, and when I'm looking at the reservations that are coming in.
What's the demographic?
I'm seeing people that are in their 50s to 70s that have just been loyal members for 30 years.
Yep. I would agree with you.
And then I find the middle group that, they're members for 1 or 2 years, and then you lose them.
Yep.
And they don't have that dedication that was maybe taught in the previous generations about sticking with something and staying with it. So I think that may be a part of it. And I think it's also, maybe that group in the middle also, maybe they're getting families, and then their kids get off into other sports and other activities, and that takes them away.
Yep.
So I think there's all that dynamics that plays into it as well.
Yep. Well, and it comes down to as well just empowering your members, because the best recruiters are the people that are already members of it. It comes down to empowering the members to go out and actually recruit. But, man, all right. So I don't want to leave this on. That's not a low note, but I don't want to leave the West Virginia Bowhunters Association box on a note of attrition. Ed, give your elevator pitch for why you think it's a good place for people to put their subscription into, and then I want to ask some non-West Virginia Bowhunter questions to Ed.
All right. So again, if you want to have a voice about bow hunting regulations, bow hunting opportunities, this association is the one that's going to provide that for you by being consistent, working with DNR. We didn't even talk about the fact, like, all the extra archery tags and opportunities. We've got a great long season that used to come in mid-October. Now it comes in at the end of September. The association worked with DNR through multiple years to get those opportunities available.
That's nice to know. I didn't know that.
That's why we're here, and we're just trying to get more people involved in the support. We are open to anyone. Again, doesn't matter race, sex, creed,
if you shoot a Matthews or not.
That's right. We'll take people that shoot Hoyts and everything.
Oh, man. What about if I shoot a Parker or a Darton?
Parker, Dart. Hey, I'm taking a Darton to Montana.
See, I can't even. Hey, what about an Expedition Archery, right? The most innovative bow for 2025. See, can't even name something that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'll give my last little deal, and I want to keep talking through a few things with Ed. We've had a fun time here, and there's a couple things that I want to spend a little bit of time on before we let him go. I cannot say it enough. They do a great job with the West Virginia Bowhunters Banquet. If you're a member or if you're a resident of West Virginia listening to this and you're a bow hunter, legit need you to sign up to be part of the association. It doesn't just help Ed, it helps you, and you will benefit a lot from it. So hope to see you guys there. If you're listening with this and we've listened this far, all right, say it one last time, Ed, before we get off the thing. When's the next banquet? What's the ticket cost, and where do they go to register?
All right. It's April 10th through the 12th, I believe is the date. It's either like 9th through the 11th or 10th through the 12th.
And it'll be on the website, obviously.
It'll be on the website, and that's where you'll get your registration. If you're a member, you'll get a packet mailed to you with a reservation form. And you can join online at our website, westvirginiabowhunters.org, and that's also where you'll find information about the banquet.
westvirginiabowhunters.org.
Again, we'll have a full tab for all banquet-related information, and you'll be able to do online reservations as well.
Very good. Jumping around, Ed, you can now unsnap your West Virginia Bowhunters Association president. That is a mouthful, but you can snap that helmet off. We're just going to talk to Ed as a person and as a guy and as a person of faith. What are you excited about this fall? I think you've got some stuff coming up. No, wait, maybe we should segue here just for everybody that assumed. Ed, you do bow hunt, right?
Yeah, I do.
You've
a little
tried
bit.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. He's tried it once. What are you excited about doing this fall? I heard there's one of these big animals. It's not a whitetail. It's like bigger than that makes loud noises.
Like, you slide off to the side.
There you go.
That's my inspiration.
One of those 1,000-pound turkeys. So
yeah.
What are you doing this fall?
So headed off to Montana for an elk hunt. I'm taking my son, and his father-in-law is going. He married well and married into a family that loved to bow hunt. And
that's, and listen, guys, that's got to be one of the prerequisites. I mean, let's be honest, that should be in the first questionnaire. Or does your dad have acreage? That's got to be top of the list.
That's right. And his father-in-law is taking a friend as well, going, so we got a group of 4 going on a guided hunt in Montana, going to Trout Creek. And we're all chomping at the bit. So we're going to be in the 4th week of the archery season. So Ed, when does that put you? Because when does it open? September? It opens September 6th.
Okay.
And so as of right now, I've been keeping tabs with the outfitter. They had 50% opportunity the first week.
Wow.
with nothing harvested. They were on the board in the second week with it was a 5x5 or 6x5. And so haven't heard much more since then, but at least they have one down. And third week starts next week. And then we wrap up in the fourth week. The fifth week they hold for their own guides, and they do the last week, give them time to rest and recuperate before their gun season starts.
That's awesome. And I'm playing dumb here because I don't know the regulations in Montana. Is there just 5 weeks of archery season, or how do they set that up?
I believe that's correct. I mean, I know what archery but it's 5. So I don't know, this is one of the great things with this outfitter. Like if we have unfilled tags, we can come back during the same season, during the rifle season and muzzleloader season.
Okay.
I don't know if they're like us, where we can bring a bow and hunt during those seasons and just wear orange. I haven't looked into that because basically my bank account's tapped once we get. I can't go back to the same year.
Insert Tiger King. I will never financially recover from this. So yeah, I got you. Man, that's awesome though. And random, but just Illinois is, as I can tell, they're pretty weird about that bow hunting during gun seasons thing. Because I asked those questions to the DNR, and I don't think you can bow hunt during the gun seasons. And they don't have overly long gun seasons, but that's just kind of annoying to me. Because what if I'm out there? It's like, why? I don't understand the difference. But anyway, if I'm somebody smarter than me, feel free and DM me.
Maybe they get a bow hunting organization that'll work to get concurrent hunting. Lobby for that.
Yeah. I mean, and I said, hey, like if I just wear blaze orange, like is that based on what I heard, it was like, no, you can't bow hunt during the rifle or the shotgun seasons. Like, that's weird. So anyway, so how many hunters did you say your son's going on this trip with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have probably been gearing up, I'm guessing, literally and figuratively. You've been gearing up for this.
Literally, and actually for 2 years. We booked 2 years ago.
Okay.
So,
nice.
it's been a process of getting the right gear together and getting it field tested and broken in and all of that.
And is this your first elk hunt?
This is my second, my son's first.
I remember you telling me you went to where, New Mexico first?
Colorado.
First. Okay.
Did a DIY hunt with 3 other really good friends. 2 of them are family members. And it was an opportunity, since it was DIY, it was relatively inexpensive. And I just couldn't take the opportunity to let it pass me. I was like, at that time I was 50. And I was like, I really need to get out there and do one before I get any older. And so now that was, I guess, 6 years ago, 56 now. And going with an outfitter this time so that we, hopefully can lay eyes on something.
Yeah. No, I 100%. Like there's things that I would do DIY myself. And then there's things that I would say, no, I'd rather buy the experience and expertise of somebody that's going to get us the chance. And that is definitely it. I'm not DIYing an elk hunt with no prior experience. So I'm hats off to David Miller again. We've thrown his name out here a few times today, but boy, that man can you can drop him anywhere. Yeah,
and I know he's been very successful. I think it's Idaho, and I understand he got another one this year. So he's unbelievable. But I don't know areas that are that vast, how you can pinpoint and then be successful.
Yep. Well, there's a bit of crazy in there. I think I figured out there's a bit of crazy, which I love. So wild at heart, I love it. So you talked about, we before we started recording, I always talk with my guests and Ed and I were talking about the kind of, when you think of legacy through land, what comes up, and there was really 2 things that I think came to mind for you, but I want to try and unpack both of these. You had a pretty memorable hunt that we were going to talk about that I think you had said was your son's college graduation, because the high school graduation hunt didn't go great, and then this was your son's college graduation hunt. Is this correct? That is the Wyoming trip. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Dive into this. When you think of memorable times as an outdoorsman, you said this one comes up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love hunting with my son. He's really taken to it. Introduced him, like I said, early on. One of my passions, so I wanted to share it with him, and he's loved it. I've never forced it on him, but he just took to it. And so yeah, high school graduation, tried to take him on a bear hunt, was very unsuccessful. Owed him another one. So 4 years later, when he graduated college, and before he started into his seminary, I took him to Wyoming, to one of our great supporters of the Bow Hunter Association, Jay Butler. He runs Pronghorn Ranch in Douglas, Wyoming. And so we went out there, beautiful part of the country, rolling hills and sage. And Jay, you talk about legacy. His ranch has been in his family generation for decades. And he does a great job on conservation and all the animals and things that he helps support through different wildlife research and things that he partners with the university there on his ranch. So he certainly developed a great legacy. But Sam and I, we managed to double on the same day there on that Wyoming trip, and it was the awesome. day after his birthday. So it was a very, very memorable hunt.
Can you tell me, because I actually took an antelope I was asking you on earlier if it was with Tommy White. So there's a guy in West Virginia that Ed and I both know that used to outfit out there in Wyoming for pronghorns. And I went in 2010 on my first antelope hunt. By the way, hands down, as a die-hard whitetail guy, if you ask me today, like, what is one outfitted hunt you would recommend someone do no matter what, and it's a pronghorn hunt for sure, because it is the most beautiful, beautiful country. And the odds, at the time that I was there were really high. I think Tommy took like 51 hunters and 51 hunters killed an antelope. I mean, it was really high odds, and this was in 2010. But most memorable hunt for me ever, I'll never forget it. Actually, it was on mine was on the I shot it with my PSE with juries way back in the day. It was on that competition. But what I'm interested in knowing, Ed, do you remember kind of some of the details of the hunt? When you say you guys were doubled up, was this in the same setup, or different times in the day?
They were very close in times of day, but we were hunting our own water holes. Yeah. And I know Jay does a lot of hunts like with a youth and a parent, and you can be in the same ground blind, but he was basically in his 20s, and
yeah,
he was off on his own, and
yep.
He's a very accomplished bow hunter in his own right. So he knows how to hunt. So yeah, he had a really challenging water hole situation in his, and he had to be very patient in waiting for his pronghorn to approach the way that it was set up. And he made a great shot. And it was probably within 20 minutes after he had texted me that, he had one down, that I had a pronghorn buck come up over the rise and come into the water at my hole. And so, we were able to get pictures together and everything together. It was just really special.
Is that a hunt you would recommend every bow hunter goes on? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, the hardest thing about pronghorn hunt when you're doing overwater, ground blinds, is the heat. So
I was just getting ready to say it's the mental game.
Yes, the mental part of waiting.
Hours,
it could be all
hours
day,
and hours and hours.
Yeah, we were on our third day in a 5-day hunt. Till we were finally had success. But yeah, so it's grueling, the heat, but like you're right, the target rich environment. There were so many pronghorn, and you get to see them chase, and the rut was firing up, and they were chasing other bucks and then chasing does, and it's just exciting, and are beautiful animals.
Yep. I had, this is going to totally sound funny, but I want to say it was a badger. A badger came into the water hole during my hunt. And I mean, there's just something you don't see from West Virginia. Like I didn't know what it was. Yep. And I mean, at first I'm like, is that a skunk? Like it just was wild to see it. And then it, no, there's no stripes, but it was a badger. I'm pretty sure it had really big claws. I remember.
Yeah.
But I mean, we saw that, and I'm pretty sure I saw a bobcat come to the water, and I just saw all this wildlife come to that water hole. And I was over the day I killed mine, Ed, I was over one of these windmill pumps that pumps into the trough. And I was directly above the trough, I could have spit into the water hole, and I was on like a pallet. I would never forget it. Blades are like a foot above my head, literally just moving. And it's like, yeah, don't raise your head too high or you're done. It just felt like you could touch the clouds all day. Like it just felt like you could just hold them. It's hard if you've done these hunts, you know what Ed and I are talking about. But if you haven't, usually, I don't know what Jay's pricing is, but an antelope hunt, comparatively speaking to other whitetail or, outfitted or whatever types of hunts, is usually much cheaper than going to, Iowa or Illinois or something. It's a more expensive hunt, at least it was then, than some of the other stuff. But yeah, your odds are just much higher, and it's a much, to me, lower key, lower stress environment. It's not like you're hunting the wind, but we're talking wide open country. So it's much easier to hunt the wind than it is, in West Virginia or Southern Ohio. It's not the same. So just kind of putting in your time. I
don't know if there's an easier hunt. Maybe a bear hunt. Yeah. Because typically, you're taken out to a stand in the afternoon after you've maybe fished on the lake, and these, other than the heat and exhaustion of sitting in the blind from before daylight till dark, multiple days in a row, that can be grueling. But as far as physicality, you're typically dropped at a blind and you wait and you have lunch, and and then if you're successful, they come and pick up the animal for you. So there's not a great deal of physicality involved.
How did you have yours processed? Like the meat, what did you have done?
Yeah, we took it to a local butcher that was in town. Game processor. Yep. And just like a whitetail, except they're a lot smaller, so you end up with a lot less meat. Probably finished out with maybe about 70 pounds, maybe.
And Ed, I just don't remember doing anything but summer sausage with mine. I just don't remember. It's been a long time ago. But did you do like steaks and backstraps and that kind of stuff?
We did. Yep. I just had mine cut like normal.
Do you remember what are they? I mean, what's the difference? Do you remember the taste? Could you equate it to something?
Well, I can tell you this. I wouldn't tell a lot of difference from venison, but my wife will not eat venison.
Yeah.
An issue that came up when she was pregnant with our second child, and she was frying venison, and now the smell just turns her off. Yeah. And she would eat antelope, and she loved it. And it was good, tasty. Now
I kind of got one of these that doesn't love venison, so yeah. I get it. So
I've heard other stories that people talk about antelope being real sagey, in flavor and things, because of their environment. But the two that I've killed, they were both great table fare.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I don't remember. I know I didn't have any steaks or anything like that. We just had summer sausage, so I'd like to do another one. I'd like to do another one of those hunts. Just honestly, I'd like to do it with some of my friends that are all super serious about whitetails like me. I think it's a great kickoff to your season to just go out and shoot antelope and have fun and make memories. Yeah. And I don't know, for people listening, if you've done it in the recent past, my stepdad goes out on a hunt close to Douglas almost every year with his buddies, and they're all retired, and I call it their wild hogs trip. But and I also joke with my mom, I think sometimes they even hunt, but they go out on this hunting trip in an RV, and they sometimes even hunt is how I say it. But he says that, they don't see a lot of antelope anymore, like in the area they're in. It's just kind of been disheartening to hear, because when we were out there, you'd see 100 a day. You just whether you're going to get a shot at them. And so I don't know if it's still as target rich of an environment.
It's coming back, and I'll just speak the recent past in just a few years, because I think 2016 was my last time out. So they've had some bad winters, and it's really hurt population. At the time when I went, and I've been two different times, you didn't need any preference points to draw a license.
I remember
you were
that.
hunting on private land, and even without a preference point, you could draw a tag.
Yep.
Now it's to the point where Wyoming has cut the license numbers back because, trying to adjust for population. That Jay, if you're coming to his place, he's now telling people they need to have at least 2 preference points. So that means 2 years of putting in and buying points before you're going to be able to draw a tag. So you really got to start your planning process
ahead. Yeah, that's
ahead
good to know.
If you want to go, if you want to go into one of these.
Well, and maybe that's their way of regulating the herd. Is that what you're thinking, Ed? Is that might be their way of backing into it?
Yeah, and again, I had a friend that was out with Jay this past. I guess it was a year ago because he's wrapping up their season now. So it was last year, 24 in September, and he was saying that the numbers are really starting to come back. They're back to where it was the first year we went out.
Okay.
And of course, you're still very successful. Nearly everyone's still filling a tag.
Yep.
And all that. So it's as far as if you want to go on a successful hunt and not come home with tag soup, a pronghorn hunt's a great hunt.
Well, and Ed would never say this. He's too nice. But if you go on a pronghorn hunt listening to this and you don't kill one, you're just a pathetic loser. That's it. That's all. So no pressure.
I guess I've been that person because that happened to me one time.
I can think of some hunts where I made sure it didn't happen to me, but I would have rather eaten tag soup. So I know the difference there. Yeah. I got one more thing, and then I'm going to let Ed go. I got one more thing to talk about, which is Dub V, West Virginia. Ed, you got anything? Well, or actually, I won't keep it exclusive to West Virginia. Do you have any whitetailisms or other than your Montana stuff? You got any deer you're excited about, or how's the woods in your neck of the woods?
I've been hearing that there's great deer everywhere. But I do not have a single camera out at this point.
Oh, my land.
Yeah. So, and it's because I don't have my own land for one, because I know you're about legacy for land and things, but I want to tell you about this other place that I hunt. And you mentioned West Virginia.
Yep.
And that is the spot close to home for you, I think, Jackson County, West Virginia.
That is it.
I got introduced to this hunt opportunity in 2001, and it's called a bow hunter retreat, and it's held on the grounds of the West Virginia Baptist Conference Center, which is also where we hold one of our fall shoots. We use their property for that.
And this is Parchment Valley.
Parchment Valley.
Let me make it real small world for you, Ed. My wife's grandmother worked there for 20 plus years at Parchment Valley Baptist Camp.
Wow.
Cookie Hall was her name. She probably has served you in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know. She may have one of the buildings named after her. I'm not sure.
Who knows?
There's a Hill Hall.
Well, the Halls, they're huge, huge family in Jackson County. But her name was Joyce, but she went by Cookie. But yep, everybody knew Cookie Hall out at Parchment Valley. She passed away a little while ago, but she was a staple. So anytime you say Parchment Valley, I well know where you're talking about. Well, my sister-in-law's wedding was there, so I know where you're at.
Yeah. Beautiful place. Just beautiful property. And, 2025, I guess this will be the 25th or 26th year, where this retreat has taken place. And it came from one of my great friends, Brian Sweeney. He was a youth pastor at the time and doing church camps there on the property, and the deer were overpopulating and eating the shrubs. And he said, it'd be great to have a bow hunt here. And from that, he presented to the board of directors there, and they started this retreat. And it's grown now to where it happens. 2 different leaders have a week each on the property. This year in our group, we have 26, I believe. Most of us men of faith, but we also are encouraged to bring non-Christian friends that bow hunt to it. And it's basically a ministry of that camp. We all get our own little section to hunt, and then we do morning devotion and evening Bible study. And it's just we call ourselves the Bob. We're a band of brothers.
I like that.
And we can depend on each other. If we have prayer requests or things that happen in our lives during the off season, we reach out to each other through text messages, and it's just been a great thing in my life that I look forward to every year. And
so how do you do this, Ed? When do you do it? Break this down. So you said offline, the Baptist camp has about how many acres?
It's 14 or 1,600, 1,600,
okay.
something like that. And the way it works is, we have a topo map, and it's all sectioned off, and all the names, people that register to come to the retreat, their names go in a hat, they draw, and then based on that order, you pick what little section you want to hunt.
Okay.
As far as the hunt goes. And the hunt is kind of just kind of the icing on the cake. It's time to get away unplug from everything, from technology and the world, and, just get to the peace and quiet of Jackson County, West Virginia, and be alone with God and God's people, and just have a time of fellowship and camaraderie during that week. So I'm hunting in the second. There's 2 different weeks. The first week happens at the end of October through the first week of November, and then we come in. The week usually includes Veterans Day, the second week.
Okay.
In November. So we're trying to time it right around where everyone sees some activity, some rut activity.
Sure. Yeah.
We all enjoy the deer hunting part of it for sure. But like I said, sometimes whether you get one or not, it's just, that's icing on the cake, and it's just being around other great men.
And I'm going to guess, Ed, you guys have probably hauled some pretty good deer out in this time frame.
Yeah, there's been some pretty good bucks taken off. In fact, we do have kind of we have some competitions within ourselves. We give a big buck award that's named after one of the guys that's been real faithful at attending. He had lost a son, and so we named the award the Blaine Hazlett Big Buck Award in remembrance of his son. And it's just we got guys that come from Virginia,
okay,
that come over. In fact, out of that retreat in 2005, let me mention this: we birthed the West Virginia chapter of the Christian Bow Hunters of America.
Okay,
and we're called the Almost Heaven Archers, and so it's another ministry that I'm involved with that where we try to use our love for bow hunting in the outdoors and with our love for God. And so we do different events for other churches and things. We got a big one coming up in Glenville, West Virginia in October. I got 5 different churches that are pulling their youth together to do some archery instruction and hear about God through a presentation about the parts of the bow.
That's amazing.
How it relates to salvation.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That is really awesome. So, I have not been on all of the Baptist camp property, but I'm going to guess, Ed, do you think there's other people that hunt it on these other times, or what's the pressure like?
There is certainly the surrounding private property that gets some pressure. And I imagine that probably spills over to some degree. The land is posted. It's not supposed to be hunted other than those 2 weeks.
Okay.
Now, there may be some other special permissions provided and things like that. Local neighbors may be given permission, things like, I'm not real sure about how all that works. But you mentioned about, there being some pretty good bucks. He's now a pastor in Sissonville. Since you're talking about the Sissonville, Vegas.
Vegas, yeah.
Sisson, Vegas. Jim Ellis, he killed a buck, and it's been several years ago, but it was scored over 140, I believe.
Okay.
And his son has taken a really good buck that I'm pretty sure was a Pope and Young buck. So there's been some pretty good bucks that have come off the property.
Yeah. I mean, you got that much acreage. There's no way it couldn't hold some pretty good deer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a really, really interesting, scenario. And I think when we talk about legacy through land, asking Ed that, it's obviously that's a no brainer. Look at the legacy and the memories. You've been going there since 2001, you said?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
20 years,
yeah.
20 plus years that you've been going there.
Yeah.
Look at the chapters and the memories you've made there on that dirt. That is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the number of friendships that have come from that, because, there's been attrition there, people come and go. And like I said, I haven't gone every year. But yeah, it's just,
that's awesome. And
it's
do you guys stay like in the cabins or whatever you call them there?
Yeah. Typically they put us in the dormitories, the dorm rooms that are all the way at the top of the hill.
Yep.
They do have these cottages that are a little bit lower, but those have carpet, and they tend to not like our muddy boots when we come in. So we tend to go to the dormitory, the dorm rooms, and that's where we stay.
I understand.
And then, of course, do meals at the Red Barn that you're familiar with.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where we hold our worship service and our Bible studies and things like that. All happen in that. A new feature that the properties just put up was a covered campfire. They call it the whippoorwill covered campfire, and it was made through some donations from people that believe in the property and the mission of the Baptist Conference Center there. And so they've got a covered campfire, and they use it for youth retreats, and I think they even do weddings and things like that inside that. And
that's awesome.
It's just a beautiful place. It's a special place. Holy ground, we've referred to it as.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Amen. We had, random enough, Ed, it was either this year or last year, we had our family Christmas, the hall family Christmas party there at the I call it the basketball gym, whatever you call that building.
Yep.
But rented that out for the big Christmas party. The kids loved that because they were able to just run and scream and go crazy, and we were wonderful. Doing our thing. So it pays to be part of a big family. Yeah. Well, I could keep you forever, Ed, but I really appreciate this. It's always funny. My guests, Ed especially, said, you're going to have to lead this. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. And there's always plenty to talk about. But here we've gone an hour and 45 minutes and talked about bow hunting and your responsibilities as a president and just kind of your upbringing, what you're excited about. Last thing, Ed, is how do people get a hold of you if they want to connect with you or they've got questions? Obviously, we have the WestVirginiaBowhunters.org. But how do people connect with Ed McMinn himself?
Yeah, I do have a Facebook page. You could probably just find me. I think it's just my name, Ed McMinn. I'm pretty simple in that regard. And then, contact me through the website, WestVirginiaBowhunters.org, or their Facebook page. I always try to be quick to respond to questions, whether you're a member or not. And help in any way I can.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you being on here, Ed, and I can't wait to see how your guys' hunt goes. You'll have to let me know. I'd love to bring you back on, even if it's just for a mini teaser of how your guys' hunt goes out west. That's definitely an aspirational hunt for me. I'm kind of pushing it back in my brain a little bit. Still definitely raising kids, and we got a 3-year-old, so we got a 3-year-old and an almost 12-year-old. So we are in the thick of it, but. Right. I got 6 preference points to Iowa, so I'm going west at some point, a little farther west than Ohio, but I really appreciate you being on here. I can't wait to hear how that hunt goes. So I would love to connect if you can keep me posted on how things go and how your season goes. This has been good. This has really been good. I cannot imagine the memories that you've been able to create at that seasonal camp on that property. And I'm selfishly, I resonate with it because I've been there, folks. So if you're listening to this that are local, you've been there and you know the charm and just the feel that place has. It's got I would call it a holy big buck feel to me, because it's big woods out there. It's in back in a hollow, and it's just its own place. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. So I appreciate your time, Ed, and thank you, listeners.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and we will see you guys on next week's episode of Legacy Through Land. Peace.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. If you're finding value in this content, we'd love to hear from you. It'd mean a lot if you could share with us how this podcast is helping you on your journey and let us know of any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. Be sure to connect with us on all social platforms at Legacy Acres Land Co. and subscribe to stay updated on when new episodes drop. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Legacy Through Land podcast, and we'll see you next week.